So a lot of stuff have happened. Formula 3. So a lot of stuff. Oh fuck happened. Me. Formula. Yeah, shut the fuck up. Man, I hate when I fucking forget to do it. But the sprint race for Formula 3, the sprint race for Formula 2, the IndyCar qualifying, the qualifying for Formula 1. And yeah, let's yeah, we can take the recent one, the IndyCar. And yeah, let's see, when do the yeah, we have Fast 12. The fuck, Marcus Ericsson? What has happened there? I thought he... Oh shit, it's the points. Man, I thought... Man. That's why it was so weird. Marcus Ericsson was in P6. Well, he will probably be P5, I think. Marcus Armstrong will have an engine penalty. But yeah, Pato Ward was really close to get a pole position against Alex Palou. New Garden, Will Power, Scott Dixon. Is there any more? No, the people that you think should be Fast 6. They aren't in the Fast 6. I think at least... No, Will Power was maybe not even in Fast 12. Scott Dixon, I think, was. But yeah, then... Well, Formula 3... And let's see, Formula 3... Man, they had an interesting day. They started trying to have a race, a sprint race. It started to rain. They didn't start the sprint race. And then after the qualifying for Formula 1, they had the sprint race. And well, for the people that know that Dino Beganovic should start at 19. Can clearly see he's not part of the 15 and down. So he's 12. So he finished the race. Yeah, in 12. Didn't give any points. Mansell could have got points, but he drove the white line in the end. So he got, I don't know, 5 seconds or whatever he got. Got down outside the points, and Fornaroli got the last point. And oh yeah, that let's see. Let's see, I remember a lot of stuff happened in Formula 3. Yeah, I think like Beganovic like got maybe 6th position just because people watched them crash into each other. Yeah. Then yeah, Lindblad won the race. Nothing that... Oh yeah, Luke Browning. I don't know what position he was. He got caught up with someone, maybe. I don't know. Well, he DNF'd. Or maybe not DNF'd. Well, here we have Luke Browning, 24. So, no more points for him. Let's see, standing. And... oh yeah, Manson will not get any points. So yeah, oh, Biganosh will keep his... He lost position to Lindblad. And he will have a really sad race tomorrow. Starting 19 again. Look, Browning should be in pole position, I think. So he will get some nice points. Yeah, and also I've learned that the team fucked Biganovic so much. First, apparently they didn't make him drive out to get a qualifying lap. Then the rain started when he went out. Couldn't do any good lap. Then he went out when it stopped raining and tried to get a nice lap, and then they put him on used tires than new. So then he could maybe have done a good qualifying lap, but it would probably went better if he had new tires. Then Formula 2. I remember Marty, no. Marty. No. What is his name? Well, two people crash into each other. But the most fun part, Mayata, 1 point. And then we have Colapinto 5th, Bortoletto 4th. Oh, it seems like he didn't keep his third place. He tried desperately in the end get him past Miney, and he could stand on the podium and be happy, everything, but then looked like Miney got the third place in the end. Antonelli, first sprint race winner, second sprint race win for Prema, but first one for Antonelli. And yeah, I think Dirksen could have got some good points, but then spun around by himself, more or less. Yeah, so let's see. Oh, Victor Marte had a bad race. Let's see his standings. Oh, Hadjar had also a bad race. So 0 points for them, 5 points. 5 points. Oh yeah. 6 points would he got if He was third. Oh, Perman. You're far. They are thinking like, should Antonelli be in Formula 1? Bierman will be in Formula 1. Look at his score. 28 points. Who will be in... can we see... I want to see... Oh, Hadjar. Okay, so he will start in P1 with Victor Martins. There we have Marti, yeah. He crashed into someone. Or someone crashed into him, maybe. So Hadjar could get some could lead the Formula 1 2 championship tomorrow if he wins. But man, time for the most interesting thing ever. Formula 1 qualifying, and already we see Sir Paris in 19. He did something that made him get into the gravel, and he got stuck and red flagged, and he is out of the qualifying. So Sir Paris with Alpine and Kevin Magnusson out in first in Q1. And Walter Bottas also. Then we have Daniel Ricciardo, Jürgen Yu, Yuki Tsunoda, and Logan Sargent, and Charles Leclerc out in Q2. Charles Leclerc, man, he's not having a good time. And Fernando Alonso, Alexander Albon, Lance Stroll, Carlos Sainz, and Nico Hülkenberg, and Oscar Piastri have a better time. But then we have the surprise Max Verstappen 4th. Then we have Lando Norris 3rd. Lewis Hamilton 2nd, and George Russell is the P1. And let's talk about this is the long time ago when 3 British drivers was in the P3 in that qualifying. But yeah, Max Verstappen got some damage when he, there's something funny that where Sir Paris got into gravel, did Max Verstappen also, so he's ruined maybe somewhat his car. So if he didn't do that, maybe it would be better. And it was so close that he could maybe not be in Q3, or was it Q2? Yeah, is there anything more interesting to say? Oh yeah, George Russell and Lewis Hamilton. They can maybe crash into each other. So let's see if that happened. And we have P1 and Peter Reserve that can tell about, well, P1 will tell about the reaction about what happened in qualifying. Peter Reserve will tell in deep on what happened in the qualifying. Let's see, we should write down 1082, 2700, and I can mention it's 818 more fishes we need to collect. So let's. Oh shit, we are nothing collected. So yeah, let's see what P1 have. Oh shit, we should first fish for the collection. And the first tropical fish for today for the collection. We should maybe get before we start. Listen to P1. But man, George Russell and Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton would first fish for the collection for today. Spot the orange line. It will be. George Russell will wanna lead the lap. Hamilton will probably wanna fight and lead the lap also. So it will be interesting if it will be a fight between them. More than they maybe want to, and then they crash themselves out. It could happen. If Lewis Hamilton will wanna lead the lap equally much he did in 2021 when he fought Max Verstappen, he could maybe do the same with George Russell, and they then both into the gravel like 2016. Was it Brazil? Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton when they fought each other. And I don't know what the fuck will Press do. It's like, I don't know. Last year it was so many times he also did that. It was wet, cold, and he tried to do something early and he just ended badly, and now he's in the shit. It's so depressing. Hopefully my theory is true, that Perez can be he can DNF every race. But as long Max Verstappen is in the team, as long as they want Max Verstappen be part of the team, Perez seat will always be there. It's like, if you want Max Verstappen, you need to have Perez in the other seat. It could be true. Max Verstappen want to have a driver that will not fight him, and Perez brings in cheap driver licenses when I need to pay for that, and a lot of sponsors, and no Trident. But yeah, let's see what the P1 have to say. Probably nothing nice about Sergio Perez, but the good part is Charles Leclerc P11. So you can't blame Sergio Perez being that bad if Charles Leclerc is 11.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the P1 podcast, live from Tommy's car.
Live? That's a lie.
That's correct. We are here after qualifying.
Yeah, but not live.
It's a quali. What even happened? What went on?
Yeah, Perez ruined his qualifying yet again. And Charles Leclerc apparently also ruined his
A lot of things.
qualifying.
Let's dive into qualifying, shall we, and begin with Q1.
Yeah,
and
Perez.
the bottom 5 were Bottas, Magnussen, Ocon, Perez and Gasly. But before we do that, we're on the main stage tomorrow. I forgot to shout that out, so shouting it out right now.
Main stage.
11 a.m. If you are at Silverstone, please come.
I'm not.
Wind, rain, sunshine or snow, we need you there.
Yeah, please, weather don't do what it was this morning because
Oh
it's
my
absolutely
God.
apocalyptic.
Oh yeah, that's apparently happened a lot. It rained or was a storm or whatever happened so much that some people apparently couldn't sleep. That sounds amazing.
I feel for all the guys that had to camp last night.
Yeah.
Yeah, in oh, what's it called? Tent. Oh my god, fuck me. What can name be? Let's see. Hates tent. But can you use another word for? Let's see. Tent. Can we get something else? Apparently not, but at least I was somewhat right.
Horrendous weather, so hope you're all doing good if you went to Silverstone, because it was awful. But yes.
Yeah, what I wanted to say, sleeping in a tent when it's raining, storming, is probably not the most fun
It
you can do.
looks better weather, so fingers
If,
crossed.
maybe. We'll see. But yes, back to Q1, the bottom 5, and obviously, the thing we need to speak about
Sorry, Paris.
is Logan Sargent making out of Q1. Maybe. No, we'll get on to that. But it is, of course, Sergio Perez. Sergio Perez. Sergio Perez. Just as we're going into this new wave of Daniel Ricciardo hype, we literally spoke about it yesterday, did we not? About how we felt sorry for him, you know, give him a break, let him just try and cook up something, and then he goes and bins it in the gravel.
Funny enough, we said for Helmut Marko, I don't think this is
The only thing you can say is somewhat make it less bad. Max Verstappen was almost in that place also. He didn't got stuck in the gravel, but he was in the gravel and ruined the car.
it's going to work. Doing the
But still was in P4, so. But not P1, so Max Verstappen is washed.
Daniel Ricciardo thing, and now he's done they've done the opposite of what they did before, where it's like 2-year contract, can you pick up the performance? No. Okay, you might get replaced. Can you pick up the performance? No.
So what other options can they do? I mean, they've done both. They've gone.
They're probably stuck with Perez until Max Verstappen leaves. Then they can maybe sign someone else. But as long as they maybe want Max Verstappen, they maybe need to have Sir Perez in the other car.
Get better, and then they've gone. You're going to lose your seat. What happens now? I think that
It's just so bad.
Then
isn't it?
maybe they lose Max Verstappen also, so who knows?
It's so bad. Such a high-profile error. It's not even.
I mean, it must be. I mean, all the stuff I hear about how Red Bull are. If you're bad, they will just fire you or put someone else in. If they still keep Perez and he's bad, it must be something with Max Verstappen that he's Max Verstappen is the ticket to keep Perez. So it's like the lifeline Perez have to keep the seat is as long as Max Verstappen is happy with him. And I think Max Verstappen is really happy having Perez in the other car when he can 100% win all the races until Lando Norris and apparently Mercedes trying to take the wins from him.
He's just there in ninth or whatever again, and obviously we'll get into it, but Max wasn't lighting up the timing screen, so they even if he was ninth, you go, oh well, Max is fourth or whatever, so it's fine.
With damage, by the way.
With damage, yeah, but still.
Yeah.
But to go off.
That's
yes,
bad.
R indeed. Question from Arthur S4N. Do you think Checo's seat is finally up for grabs?
Probably not. But I mean, if Ricciardo will probably be better, then yes. But Ricciardo doesn't show so much good. Let's see, where did they finish? Ricciardo, he did, I think he did good. 15. I mean, maybe nothing to celebrate.
We've had the
Look, I
conversation
think it's-
every race.
This isn't the first time, nor the last time we will probably talk about a poor Checo performance this year. He's clearly in a massive rut at the moment. But Horner said, look, there are 2 McLarens, there are 2 Mercedes, there are 2 Ferraris. We need 2 Red Bulls. He said that before. He said it again. You got Helmut Marko saying they're going to be assessing how Daniel Ricciardo does by the summer break. Daniel Ricciardo, he made it out of Q1, but he actually qualifies.
Älskar sport. Älskar
No, go away. 20-second ad, no. God damn it. And also, something that could also be interesting that could happen if Ricciardo isn't good enough. He could maybe lose the seat to Liam Lawson. And then it could be either then Ricciardo goes to Williams or Carlos Sainz goes to Williams. And then we have Audi that either Ricciardo or Carlos Sainz goes to Audi. And that could happen. I mean, they talk that they want Liam Lawson. If you feel like if you wanna keep him so much, maybe you should not keep Ricciardo if you don't believe in him so much that you want him in the Red Bull. But who knows? Will it happen? I don't know, because apparently people don't try to think about it. I mean, like, if Helmut Marko's talk is true, that they want Liam Lawson, eller he wants. Christian Horner probably doesn't want him. But can he really wanna keep Ricciardo? And that also, like, all that talk about Perez not being good. I mean, Ricciardo did his McLaren stint. And now maybe doing the same in Visa Cash App RB Formula 1 team, so I mean, I wouldn't say do this equally bad job, but not much better. Oh shit, we need sound, and also I need to change that.
Daniel Ricciardo, he made it out of Q1, but he actually qualifies 15th. Sonoda, I think, was 13th.
Christian Horner has been very supportive of Sergio Perez. He made the decision, you know, he took a bit of a risk to do it. And the fact that Perez went off and it cut to Christian Horner on the pit wall and he actively shook his head. Horner will know he's on the camera at that point.
Yes. But would you be happy, celebrate? Or will you actually be disappointed?
Oh yeah.
That's a message. That is a message to be like, we're not taking this anymore.
It's all well and good being slow or being off.
Who knows? Maybe Max Verstappen to Mercedes is actually true then.
The pace, but then combining that with crashes, with mistakes in Q1, you can't do much more to make your seat vulnerable.
It's funny because as fans, a lot of fans have been very critical over Red Bull and slandered them for the way they approach their drivers. But equally now everyone's going, oh my god, Perez is useless, get him out of the seat.
Yeah, that's interesting. Wait, you don't want to have a bad driver in the other seat? Because the person is equally good as Max Verstappen? Wait, you want to keep a person that are equally bad, or worse than Max Verstappen? Why? When you can have a so much better person.
And yeah, it's really bad, but we're having this conversation again and again.
But we have to. If you're going to spin out in Q1, it's of course going to be a topic for conversation. Another thing to mention.
The fun part will be when they start talking about Charles Leclerc.
Is an apology that we have to Alpine. We of course spent time with both Ocon and Gasly this weekend. You'll be seeing some of that very soon. And they're 18th and 20th, which, I mean, Gasly, of course, he's starting in the back anyway, so I'm sure there wasn't too many risks taken after his...
Oh, that I wonder if they would do with Sir Perez. Like, put in a new onion, put in new stuff. Like, make this race be the race when they just get a lot of new stuff. And that changes everything. He's already... He should be lost. Oh my god, he isn't lost! Oh my god. Or maybe because Pegasus will take new stuff. Okay, so they maybe don't want to put in new stuff because he will at least start 19th. No. But he should... they should use this race to put in new stuff. If they know one onion is almost bad. Change it.
Off in free practice 3, but Ocon obviously being 18th, not
I mean the onion that was in the Monaco crash. I may change that one.
Considering the only driver he beat was someone that was beached in the gravel, so just as they were looking good. So Alpine have had a bit of a stinker this weekend so far.
That's what you get when I bold surprise.
Go on, say about the clean sweep that you noticed in Q1.
Yes, the clean sweep I noticed in Q1, and obviously those that listen to the podcast on a regular basis will know that every driver I do biggest good surprise. They have a shocker. Valtteri Bottas, he was out. Every person
qualified by Zhou.
Yes, which never happens. Magnussen.
It never happens. Maybe not this season, but it have happened.
You flopped, which is the curse.
With his teammate up in 6th.
His teammate up in 6th. And our other curse is every time we interview drivers, they...
Well, actually, you even said to Ocon, mate, well, you know, the last time we interviewed you got a podium the next race. I think saying that and putting it into the atmosphere has made things a lot worse.
You never know, it might rain tomorrow and who knows.
They'll finish 19th and 20th. Let's go to Q2 then, shall we? And the
Charles
bottom
Leclerc.
5 were Sargent, Sonoda, Zhou and Ricciardo.
Who's our first one? Charles Leclerc.
Charles
Yeah.
Leclerc. Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc. What's
Charles
the first
Leclerc, sorry,
question?
Palace.
Barked TV. Has Matt booked the therapy yet? I feel like again, similar to Perez and whether he's going to lose his seat, I feel like this question's been asked a lot over the last couple of years. I was surprised. I was surprised that Ferrari were as bad as they were. I think Fred even said these kind of conditions we're going to be we should be competitive in. And they weren't. They just weren't. Of course, Leclerc being outqualified by Sainz, who did make it through the Q3, but then had some scuffles that kind of ruined his chances of anywhere near the front. But back to Charles, I haven't seen any of the post-quali debriefs, so I haven't loaded up with excuses. But what I will say is that it was depressing to see.
They had such a good start to the season. They were delivering every single weekend, not making any mistakes. They were
almost like Red Bull with Sir Perez. They were on the top, and now they're somewhere else.
always delivering the maximum. And
then
now
the P1 extra video of can Ferrari win the Constructors' Championship, and they've scored about 4 points since then.
mistake has
Not this season, but I believe next season will that happen. Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc will secure a fight for the construction ship against Red Bull, and Lando Norris will be the one that will fight the championship with Max Verstappen.
after mistake. This is a painful thing. The top Ferrari powered car wasn't even a Ferrari, it was Nico Hülkenberg in a Haas. Let that one sink in.
No! Oh my god, what race was that? It must be Miami last season. Or maybe the season before that. Was it Kevin Magnussen? It must be Hülkenberg. But I think it was Kevin Magnussen. Was fighting Charles Leclerc. And Charles Leclerc couldn't get past, and then... Or it must be... 2022. No, 2023. At least it was the year when Sir Perez was fighting for the championship, almost. So 2023, I believe. That Miami race. Charles Leclerc didn't have a fun time.
Okay, and then in Q3 we had Russell, Hamilton, Norris, Verstappen, Piastri, Hülkenberg, Sainz, Stroll, Albon, and Alonso. So
A Brit 123.
a Brit 123 enjoyed the comments of us being called British bias because we were even discussing the fact that they would be a 1-2-3 Brit podium. How you like us now? First question comes in from ODW9745. Mercedes are back. Championship back on. For God's sake, we use this phrase far too much.
And for every different team.
Yes, yeah, this is now Mercedes championship back on. No, I will not even entertain the fact that Mercedes are.
Mercedes, yeah. After 3 years, they are now back. And they will fight. I mean, the best part is they are next to each other. So the first lap could end really bad for them. I mean, all this, that will be, that could be amazing. Russell and Lewis Hamilton crash into each other in the first lap. They are DNF. Lando Norris is then leading the race. And most of the race. But in the end, Max Verstappen then win the race. So from being the most British stuff hype in Silverstone ever to being the most disappointed British race ever. That would be so amazing.
Back in this, yeah, they're back in it for this weekend, and they might be for future weekends, but they're so
Or
far
Oscar
behind.
Piastri could also be the winner. Oscar Piastri or Max Verstappen.
There is no chance of a championship fight between Mercedes and Red Bull. But what I will say, that grid has a Brit 1-2-3 collision written all over it. Like,
No, don't put Norris in that collision. But put Russell and Hamilton in it.
Sorry, all three of those Brits will want to win this Grand Prix more than Monaco, more than maybe
True.
the world champion. Maybe not that, but to win in front of your British crowd when there's three of you at the
Huge
front.
opportunity. Max is down in 4th. Yeah.
Max is down in 4th. We don't know exactly how much damage he was carrying and how much time he was losing in qualifying, but you've got Russell, who's off the back of a victory. You've got Hamilton that hasn't won since 2021, and it's his
2021 Saudi Arabia.
first front row start of the year. And then Lando Norris. It is so
good.
finely poised.
Yeah, it really is. Mercedes.
So amazing.
What form? And totally agree with you. Wouldn't say championship back on. And again, it's another team we've gone Ferrari championship back on, McLaren championship back on.
No! One more 20-second ad! Stop it! Let it happen. Let the crash happen between the British, except Landon Norris. Let Landon Norris buy, but let the Lewis Hamilton and George Russell crash into each other. And that would be so perfect. The Mercedes team, from winning a race to being on a top, P1, P2, pole position, everything, and then he just goes all the way because they both want to win too much.
The team we've gone Ferrari championship back on, McLaren championship back on, Mercedes championship back on. What I'd say to that is Max will take it all day at being different teams every single time. That is what is going to make it struggle.
He'll take it until he gets beaten by all four of those cars, and then they start eating at his championship lead regardless.
Very
But yes, it's as much as that grid, it's very finely poised, and actually it's probably for the best. The race that we have tomorrow is going to be so exciting because in my head and in my brain, McLaren fumbled that pole position.
Oh my word! So
I believe they were the fastest car. It was difficult.
Oh
conditions.
shit, where was Piastri? Was he 6th? Yes, no, 5th. Nico Hulkenberg is 6th.
Out there, don't get me wrong, it was a
Fucking
very slippery
doing
track.
up there.
It was green, so obviously it had been washed, all the grip had been washed away, and
I said to you before Q3, especially, and we'll get into Max's damage, but Max didn't look like he was in it because of the damage of him going off in Q. Did actually mention that in Q1, obviously even running wide, he looked like he was always going to go out at one point, which was crazy. But it really did. I was like, Lando surely got this.
Yeah.
And I think Lando is
Surely.
absolutely kicking himself that when he's been incredibly quick. McLaren have looked the fastest. Max has got damage and almost got knocked out of Q1, and he's on the same row. I think that really is going to be like, how have I ended up here?
And it's testament to Max Verstappen once again. Like, we can talk about, he had damage. Red Bull wasn't the fastest car, and yet it's quite clear he had damage. He went through that gravel very hard.
I mean, that's how we drive the car. The car is damaged, I will still drive it like it have no damage. So
in
one more fish
Q1.
for the collection.
And yet he's still, as you say, on the
100%
second
side.
row of the grid, next to his closest championship rival, who is miles behind anyway. He's got a great opportunity to still do something great. I imagine he'll be on the podium. So it's disappointing.
Probably the
Of course,
winner.
McLaren starting 3rd and 5th. They should have had at least one car on the front row. And maybe it's because our biggest good surprise the team for the first time ever that they decided, you know what, actually, no.
And Oscar was unlucky as well, of course, which you called when we were watching it, that when they were all coming out the pits, we were going, hang on a minute, like, Oscar and all the cars on the Wellington Straight, look, we were looking at the time going, this is not, they're not going to get round in time. And they did, but they were all too close to each other.
Yeah.
They couldn't
They
get
were
a gap.
fighting. Yeah. And I do wonder whether that rule's going to change. Because I thought they weren't allowed to stop in the pit lane and manage a massive gap, and yet they still sort of do it, and there's no real investigation anymore. But
Because I don't think they do it. Yeah, I don't think they do it on purpose. But
Well, I mean,
it's getting borderline. You know, They could Alonso Hungary.
Yeah. I don't think. Well, you say that. Oh, I don't think they mean to. They know there's 2 minutes 10 seconds to go, and there are 6 cars waiting behind. Oh no, yeah, just manage the gap. Yeah, let whoever it is in front just, and then go. How is that allowed? I don't get it. Because the cars behind are stuck. They can't do anything about it.
They will do something.
Yeah, 100%. There's going to be teams complaining about that and saying, well, look, we can't pass in the pit lane and there's cars stopping. So, not for me, because I want to see everyone finish a flying lap. The risk should be you're the last at the pack, which means someone might go off ahead and you get the yellow flag. That's as much of a risk as I think is fair, not that people are stopping in the pit lane ahead of you. Then you all have to race to the line and... yeah, bizarre. Okay, so that's that. We've mentioned about McLaren.
Max's damage. Maybe.
Max's damage. Oh, I don't know the extent to Max's damage.
No, it looks... You've got to think that Max had some damage in that session. Of course, he went over the gravel. He had a few moments during his lap that looked a little bit sketchy. And they will be able to repair that. They obviously can't do anything to the setup, but if there is damage, they'll be able to repair the floor, which will give them a great chance. And in a weird way, Max Verstappen, the inevitability of Max, like you said earlier, in a session like that, he could have so easily been 9th, 10th, even out, and he's 4th. Or in the gravel, and he's 4th.
He was nearly in the gravel.
And
he was in the
still
gravel.
got a very good. He's still got a very good chance to win
Same
the race.
gravel as
He's certainly
Serpa
got
Palace.
Fascinating tomorrow.
It really is. It really is. And then, of course, Nico Hulkenberg, 6th on the grid.
Wow.
Deserves a massive shout out he's a...
Yeah, I was 100% want to shout out him, but he's in a haas. As soon as in the stake F1 team kicks over, then I can more appreciate what he's doing. But as long as making so Haas get more points, I can't appreciate the stuff he's doing.
Amazing round this circuit. Like, he's just got a feel for this circuit like not many other drivers do. So Nico, 6th on the grid in the Haas.
Yeah, it was an unbelievable performance from Hulkenberg, has to be said. Has to be said. That wasn't even a pun.
Has to be said. And also, Alex Albon, 9th on the grid. Williams looked really good today. Logan Sargent, of course, made it through the
hopefully points for Williams.
I will say that I think every session, Logan was out-qualified by Albon quite extensively. It wasn't as... And it's almost an expected thing for Logan to have made it through the Q2. Because he was properly celebrating it. But Albon obviously up in 9th, showing that the Williams did have speed this weekend. So it'd be interesting to see if they can score a point or two, because they haven't looked great recently.
No, they've not got many points on the board. If Hulkenberg's up there, more points for Haas, who are scoring a lot of points at the moment.
They really are. And that pretty much sums it up. That wraps it up. We have got an amazing race ahead of us tomorrow.
It will be amazing if they crash out. If they doesn't crash out, then it will be a boring race.
Sad that we're not going to be live on Twitch, but also we're here at the race, so let us live once, please. I'm sorry. But come along to our main stage performance at 11 a.m. tomorrow. We cannot wait to see some of you over there. It's going to be terrifying, but also amazing. Fingers crossed. Tommy, what are your final thoughts?
Final thoughts are super generic, and yeah, can't wait for the live show on the stage. Amazing experience last year.
The
so
crash
in
again. The race.
And the race is so beautifully poised. Even if it doesn't rain, the grid is very tasty indeed. So bring it on.
But it looks like it is going to rain, because it's been chaotic weather the last few days.
It's hard to know what we want, really. Like I think the good thing is it's nicely poised either way.
I'm looking at the weather right now. Sunday, rainfall at...
Bang on, isn't it?
Pretty much just before the race. That'll probably change 12 more times by tomorrow, but we'll see you very soon. Thank you to everybody that's...
Let's see, rain before... So Formula 2 maybe can get some rain. Formula 2... Yeah, I don't think I care if that happens.
Oh, my mum's ringing me. My mum is ringing me quickly. Mum, say goodbye to the podcast. Thank you. Just say bye, everyone. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, that happened. But yeah, the crash, please make it happen. So, where could Sir Perez end up? Sergio Perez. Can he even get to the points? He started 19, maybe 20, maybe even from the pit lane. If they actually want to do any changes. Can he get points? Yeah, if these two crash into each other, then he could maybe get 1 point at least, hopefully. Who knows? But now we have Peter Windsor. Let's see if he gets any new information. Maybe how much Max Verstappen did lose by going in the gravel. Maybe we'll mention also Sergio Perez. Probably not in a nice light. But let's see.
It was one of those classic Silverstone days. Crosswind, rain, bit of sunshine, and 3 British drivers for a change in the top 3 in qualifying. George Russell effectively taking up where he left off in Austria, albeit a lucky win in Austria, but there's nothing like momentum for a guy like George Russell. What a superb...
Yeah, hopefully the momentum makes him wanna fight Lewis Hamilton more than he maybe should have. And it ends up being really happy ending for everyone except Mercedes.
pole lap George put in. He had Lewis Hamilton, who's really driving well at the moment. He had Lewis Hamilton to beat in front of the Silverstone crowd, and he did so by the tiniest of margins. As Mercedes won too as well, not far from their home base, so very good result for them. Congratulations to them. And Lando Norris P3 for McLaren Mercedes, probably knowing Lando even more disappointed than normal. He's only really happy if he's on the pole and winning the race. But Lando nonetheless drove extremely well. It kind of got away from him at the exit of Beckett's, but before that a really, really good lap. P4, Max Verstappen in the Red Bull Honda, would you believe? Quite a lucky P4 as well. It was a difficult qualifying session for everybody. Obviously, it was the same for everyone. And it began in Q1 on a drying track, but it became very clear within about 3 minutes of Q1 that quick times at the end were going to be on slicks. So it was a question of getting into slicks at the right time and getting out there with the right tyre temperatures. Red Bull a little bit behind the music there, and Max had just gone purple in Sector 1 when it started to rain going into the Turn 7 area. He lost the back end.
Yeah, he did a lap and then he was really unlucky when he got to, either when it started to rain or when he got to a rainy part.
Over the runoff area, almost hit the outside fence, kept the car going, but at that point, from that point onwards, the underfloor of the car was damaged, and Red Bull were never going to be able to get it back into decent shape again before the end of qualifying, and Max had to live with an imbalance and a difficult car to drive in obviously difficult conditions.
And he succeeded.
Did well to qualify P4, as I say, a lot better than his teammate Sergio Perez, who on this occasion should have been able to rise to the surface. This is exactly the situation when the number 2 driver at Red Bull, with Max in a problem like that, should be able to come in and do something for the team.
True.
But Perez was, well, you know, he went off. He was trying to warm up the tyres in Q2, went off on slicks on the semi-damp track and couldn't get out of the gravel trap, and that was it for Sergio Perez. Very disappointing for the team, and of course not a good day at all for Checo. Anyway, let's get back to the front. Let's call it a duel between the 2 Mercedes drivers, and I've been talking about the
Duel of the Fates. Also one more fish for the collection and 100% Snooper Cyan. The third 100% colored fish to the day.
potential for this if the Mercedes ever got to the point where it was a good car capable of winning races on a regular basis. Well, we don't know that yet. That's a step too far. But what we do know is it's a good car around Silverstone, particularly in those conditions. And it was always going to be fascinating to see George Russell versus Lewis Hamilton in two very good cars around this wonderful circuit. Wonderful in the sense that there are so many different types of corners. Analysis of the two quickest laps by the two drivers shows, in my opinion, two things. One, going into Beckett's through that fast left-hand kink and then into Beckett's, George had a slight advantage. Lewis does what classic racing drivers do, and I say classic because you hear so many drivers from the past saying always keep a car in a taller gear, a higher gear, if in doubt. Never strain the car too much, particularly if the weather's a little bit changeable, if the track conditions are changeable. Always try to keep the revs lower if you can. And that's exactly what Lewis did. He kept it in 8th gear for much longer going into Beckett's than George Russell. And at one point he was under 10,000 revs in 8th. He was doing something like 9.6 in 8th gear. Whereas George was backing off slightly on the normal way going into Beckett's, not braking, and as soon as he backed off the throttle he was putting it into 7th and getting something like 11.5 in 7th and going in 7th gear, not braking but going in with load and torque from the engine that he could rely on, probably for a little bit of reflexy change of direction if he needed to do that.
I mean, like I mentioned, the information you get from Peter Vischer is like almost too much. Like, where do you get all this information, Peter Vischer? You should write a book.
There was a slight glitch at the back end of the car, whereas Lewis is letting the car float in more. Got to say, Lando Norris doing a similar thing to Lewis there, and that's possibly why Lando also ran out a bit of road towards the end of Beckett's as well. So it was there in the middle of Beckett's and down Hanger Straight, very little between Lewis and George, but it was going into Beckett's that George had a couple of critical kilometres an hour on Lewis because of that. I like to say it's because Lewis doesn't thrash the engine quite as much as George. And then at the end of the lap, in that tight section, where you would have thought Lewis would probably be better than George, just purely because of his experience for a start, but let's not say experience now, because George has too much of that as well. It's still...
So Lewis Hamilton is washed. The second driver becomes the first driver.
Touch and feel when conditions are a little bit off, the curbs are still wet, the track was dry of course. And you'd imagine there that Lewis would be the guy that got the car slightly straighter for a really good exit coming onto the pit straight. But it was George that did that. Lewis had to come out of the throttle a little bit more than George on the exit of that last long right hand. Just came out of the throttle a fraction, and that's where George also got the advantage over Lewis. It wasn't much, but those two areas going into Beckett's, George using 7th when Lewis is still in 8th, and then just getting a perfect exit out of the last corner. And he was on the track just after Lewis as well, so who knows, maybe the track was a fraction quicker drier at that point. I say fraction because it was obviously down to fractions anyway, and you have to look at those tiny details. So the separation, I think, was the way George was using the engine going into Beckett's more than Lewis, using the engine revs, and Lewis holding 8th gear for much longer before he, almost to the point where he's turning in, and he's still floating with the car. So, yeah, you know, very, very small differences, but amazing to see those two 1-2 on the grid after everything they've been
More amazing if they crash in the race.
through at Mercedes. As I've been saying from day one, you know, Lewis never really wanted to have George in the other car anyway. What we saw today was exactly why Lewis wanted to keep Valtteri, because in this situation...
That's what I'm talking about. Why Max Verstappen probably want to serve Perez in the other car. And could be the lifeline for Perez to keep the seat. Yeah, if you want me to stay in Red Bull, Sir Perez need to stay in the other seat.
You can imagine Valtteri probably would have been 1,000th or maybe a 10th or 2 behind Lewis, but on this occasion, although Lewis I thought did a really good job when he got out of the car, the last thing you want to do is be beaten by your teammate around a circuit like Silverstone. And when George heard that Lewis was second, yeah, he could say, wow, that's great, fabulous team result. But for him to be on the pole, fraction ahead of Lewis Hamilton means much more than anything else in the world.
True.
If it was Lando second and Lewis was like 0.3 away, it wouldn't have meant quite as much. But to have beaten Lewis by that amount when Lewis was going that well, that is a pole position that George Russell will
And
always
then
remember,
it's
which
time for the
obviously you could
crash.
say he totally deserved. Lando very, very quick, did a good job all day, had his moments, as did Oscar Piastri. Exceptionally good job by Oscar as well. He'll be qualifying. He'll be starting just behind Max on the grid. Nico Hülkenberg, also outstanding. We talked about him yesterday. He's very, very good. Always has been in semi-wet conditions. And we had semi-wet for about 50% of qualifying. Yeah, it was pretty dry, but he still qualified 6th in that Haas Ferrari. What a great result for him. Great result for the team.
While Kevin Magnussen is... yeah, let's see. Where is Kevin Magnussen? He's 17th.
As well. The biggest disaster story of the day was undoubtedly Ferrari. Charles Leclerc didn't get into Q3.
Trident.
All over the place, really. I mean, Charles, we saw even in FP3 this morning when it was wet, he had some very, very inelegant moments. A couple of really nice slides, drifts you could call them, but a few really inelegant moments
Oh my God.
almost
So much
overcorrection, just
misses.
looking and all running out of road. And they kept changing things, ride height and stiffness and so forth on the Ferrari and
Not
getting nowhere
Trident.
with the car. And the car was very edgy, as I said yesterday, particularly on fast corners. And it just got the better of Charles in the end. He was just overdriving it out of frustration, I think, and didn't get through to Q3. Carlos Sainz did a more measured job and will start P7th, a couple of tenths behind Nico Hülkenberg, but a 10th behind Nico Hülkenberg and the Haas powered by the Ferrari engine. And of course, no factory team likes to be beaten at all by its customers, let alone the Haas team using a Dallara chassis.
True.
What an embarrassment for Ferrari. This
I mean, it's like Miami again. They're worse than a Haas. What's happening?
was today. Speaking of Aston Martin, Fernando was pretty good. He was
It's like Alfa Romeo will be beating Ferrari. It's like, how can that happen? Alfa Romeo not been in Formula 1 since, like, well, they were in, the name was in Formula 1 some years ago, or 1 year ago. But the team, they beat Ferrari, that would be really bad. 50 years ago, and they are back and beating Ferrari.
he loves these conditions and sort of dragged that car up into the top 3 in Q2. The problem was he was running out of tyres. He only had one set of soft tyres going into Q3. He only had one set of soft tyres in Q2, actually. So he did a really good job there on the rationing of the tyres. And he didn't actually get a run at all in Q3 because he didn't go out initially because he only had that one set of soft tyres. And when he did go out, he got a lot of traffic and then abandoned the lap. So that was that. Lance Stroll was 8th in the other Aston Martin. Alex Albon did a very good job for Williams Mercedes to qualify 9th. No surprise there, really. Very good around Silverstone and very good in these conditions as well. He's got that lovely touch. Long corners, a bit like Lando, but very, very quick. Did a very good job in that car. And P10 was the aforementioned Fernando.
And hopefully it will become some points for Williams. Now they have the one. Yeah, I don't know how many names on the livery. One more Trident. But hopefully they can succeed to get some points. Come on, one more Trident for the collection. No. And yeah, Alonso in the points, maybe again.
Fernando Alonso. So it's George, Lewis, Lando, and Max. What a top 4 for the Grand Prix tomorrow, with the weather, of course, playing its role as well. Can't wait for that. Big thanks to Jetcraft, to OEM Exclusive, to Track Ninja, and of course to you, the viewer. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.
Man, it sounds so much like a Pakistani song. Let's see if I can find. No, wrong place. should I? Okay.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, sure.
Live
We
from
play
Windsor.
this. The scam out.
Acknowledge and thank our donors and sponsors.
Gonna present a legit ad.
We are starting with a project which will help us to provide 2 full cows.
Cannot
together
find
with
it.
the cooking, the
No.
rice and distribution, which will feed hundreds of families here in Khalid.
Yeah, true.
Thank you very much. Jazakumullah khair wa barakallah feekum. Please see this video for the displaced community.
مطر يغيث من العنا كالفرج من رب السماء يحيي الحياة.
I mean, the weirdest thing is the person that are talking. Why can't you never be seen in these places?
إذا نزل لا يمل من العطاء.
No, if you wanna show the stuff is more legit, then you maybe should not make it look like the biggest scam ever. There we have it. Let's see. Then we go. What song is it? There we have it. Harun and Fakir. Aye Yavan. Yeah, there we have it. Aye Yavan. Okay, that was pretty sure. Let's see. How many fish have we collected? Not all many fishes. Let's finish off with Autosport. They want to talk about the McLaren start off strong, something probably in British Formula 1, and then we will end the stream. Let's see what they have to say while we're collecting some more fishes before we end it.
Hello, welcome to British Grand Prix Friday. We just had FP1 and FP2. We obviously had a press conference earlier on as well, which was quite interesting, wasn't it? I mean, you had Zach Brown in the press conference. There was no Christian Horner, but it does kind of follow on from what we were talking about yesterday, which was sort of Lando and Max and their relationship. And it's kind of now fallen to Zach Brown, who wasn't in Austria, to pick up from that point.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because we went through yesterday. Obviously, Lando, Max, all matey again. I think they agree 99% of everything.
Oh yeah, I've seen something about Zach Brown. Maybe talking shit. Who knows?
It seems all settled. I think they've moved on, and it's just interesting that McLaren don't seem to have moved on to the extent that it now seems to have turned into a kind of Zach v Christian thing. It's quite interesting. I mean, I think you spoke to Zach in Canada, didn't you? He talked about you know, we don't want to go racing. I like. What did he say? I like to race with Fred Vasseur.
Yeah, he likes to go with Fred Vasseur because he's sort of trusts.
I mean, Zach Brown. Can he really be happy with the McLaren history with Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost? If he doesn't support that kind of driving, maybe he should leave the team.
Was his word, you know, I trust Fred and the way that Fred goes racing, and he sort of, you know.
Alonso and Lewis Hamilton in McLaren. There's some stuff also.
Implied that there were some people that he doesn't trust as a consequence, and yes, we saw today it was a little bit out of the blue, wasn't it? Really, it didn't. It come from nowhere. This broad statement on Red Bull.
Yeah, and he's talking about, it's not how we go racing, that Red Bull should have told Max on the radio that he'd done wrong, that it doesn't respect the rules. They mentioned the cost cap, they mentioned...
Respect the rules. Did he get any penalty of anything that led up to the collision? Or didn't he get any penalty for that? So if he didn't, he did everything okay until the contact. Because the only thing he got the penalty for. One more try. They must brought back a bug with the summer tridents. Or maybe it was a bug before. Because to have this many tridents, almost too many. Oh. Sadly the drop rates is not bugged, maybe.
And on-track stuff, mentioned the relationship between Jos Verstappen and Christian. It's quite pointed. It'd be interesting to see, as inevitably we get with this soap opera, that we've heard Zach's perspective today. I'm sure there's going to be something with Christian tomorrow responding. But it's just interesting, got these kind of two little parallel soap operas going on. One of them seems to have sorted out, so he flipped the other side of the fence, and we'll see where that goes.
Of course, we saw today Lando looking quite impressive. Mixed conditions here at Silverstone. A wet, slippery track, and then dried, and then wet again.
Yeah, it looked good. The qualifying, he didn't succeed by being good.
But he excelled, didn't he?
Yeah, it's good. P1 in both FP1 and FP2. Mixed sessions. Obviously, long runs. We do some low fuel running, everything. But I think McLaren seemed very competitive. I think Red Bull said they were struggling in the low speed here, which is quite interesting because we've seen these characteristics that the McLaren previously was very good in high speed, not so good in low speed. This Miami upgrade came, lifted the low speed up, but they weren't sure where they stacked up on high speed. But I think they've been chipping away. We've seen little signs of some high speed growth, but I think Red Bull probably still has an advantage there. But these cars, it's all this endlessly.
Red Bull / Max Verstappen is S rank, McLaren A rank, Mercedes B rank, Ferrari C rank, and Haas D rank, Alpine E rank, Visa Cash App RB Formula 1 team is maybe also an E rank. Oh, D rank. That might be Haas. Oh wait, E rank. Visa Cash App RB from one team and Aston Martin, and then F rank Stake F1 team Kick Sauber, and one more Trident. The fuck is this? And Williams. One more Trident. Can this lead to on Trident for me? Oh my god. Don't scare me. No Trident, and I hope I didn't kill the fish that might look like it was a new fish for the collection.
The compromise between high-speed performance, medium-speed performance, low-speed performance, and where you kind of pick your poison, so to speak. And I think Red Bull still excels in high speed, but low speed they haven't got that balance. Whereas I think the McLaren, I think as Helmut Marko said, they're quick on any track, any surface, any temperature. They're always there. So at the moment, advantage McLaren. But as we see so often in Formula One, tonight, I'm sure as we speak, the Red Bull simulator will be fired up. It'll be running all night, and there'll be some number crunching, and in the morning, all those numbers will be fed into the garage, and they'll have a new setup, and it'll all be fine.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because Red Bull's strength used to be that car was quick out of a box wherever they
Oh
went.
shit! They might have been all right, but Max wanted to be in the gravel, like your Sir Perez. So we will never know until the race.
And they used to just hit the track and they were up and running. And then that obviously makes the weekend a lot easier than when you're trying to find those marginal gains and make the improvements. So it's great that McLaren are in that sweet spot. It gives us optimism that they're able to take the fight to Red Bull this weekend.
Yeah, I think that honing of the package is exactly what we saw last weekend, when you've got, you know, a sprint race where you've got one practice session, sprint qualifying, sprint, then they can reset everything, qualifying. You know, the gap in qualifying on Saturday was less than a tenth of a second, tiniest gap between Red Bull and Lando. Fast forward 24 hours in effect, 4 times difference, just because I think Red Bull unlocked this package. I think if they can find the sweet spot with that RB20, it's perfect. The difficulty is I think it's quite narrow, and if temperatures fluctuate, like we saw in the second half of Austria when the cloud cover came in, track surface temperature dropped, fell out of the tyre window, and that's what, well, I mean, the botched Red Bull pit stop didn't help, but it brought Lando into the game.
Okay, Peter Wilson never mentioned that. What he mentioned was used tires on Max Verstappen, new tires on Lando Norris. And also, Red Bull was planning to have the hard tires. Charles Leclerc maybe spoke them out. So, yeah. At least mention everything if you want to give a reason.
And turn things around.
What can we make of Mercedes' performance today? Obviously, they look like they sort of made improvements in Austria, George winning.
I think not very much. I think it was all fairly mixed
improvement.
day. I think what was perhaps...
Yeah, did they do any improvement because they won in Austria? Yeah, why the fuck did they win? I'm gonna look in Brazil. They won that race. What happened after that? And the season after that? No more wins. Until last race, the Austria.
This is most interesting, is that
the Austria race.
Traditionally, if we look back over the season, Mercedes hit the ground running, you know, with P1, P2 in practice, and it falls away as the weekend goes on. Today they've not made that, haven't smashed it from the start. So I wonder if there's a slightly different approach or a better understanding, or just they have a degree of confidence in this car now that they know what they need to do. And I think they're also saving some tyres today, so to put themselves in a good spot tomorrow.
A similar story for Ferrari as well. We was talking about that, wasn't we, last week, about, you know, upgrades coming to the car and sort of compromising performance almost, in the hope that once they get everything bolted on that car, that they will make that step forward with the progress and the...
Yeah, but I think Ferrari have hit this problem that I think if you go back to the start of the ground effect era, when Mercedes thought they'd cracked it with the first car, tons of downforce in the wind tunnel, for this upgrade package, bolted it on the car for the second test, and they couldn't use it. It was downforce they couldn't use. And I think Ferrari may be in a similar situation. This upgrades come, the numbers are saying, yep, it's a step. And they can see the step in low speed and medium speed. It's there, but at high speed...
A Mercedes upgrade. The data say it's good. Real life says bad.
You know, as the car gets lower to the ground, gets more susceptible to hitting it, bouncing, sucking itself down. And this is, I think, why they're having this high-speed bouncing. So it's, again, is the package globally better, even if it's improved in some specific areas? I think that's what they're working through. I understand they split the floors today. I think Carlos Sainz was on the older version of the floor, Charles Leclerc on the newer version, and I'm sure they'll be pouring through the data tonight just to try to understand what's going on.
Other element today was the title for the Formula One film, which is coming out next year. It's called Formula One.
Wait, what? That's a lame title, but okay, sure. It's an ad that can't be skipped. Nice.
I mean, I think you kind of a split opinion on it, really, because first of all, can you imagine the months and months and months of meetings and those charts and all these execs and stuff pouring through. They poured through these meetings for months and months, had 8,000 ideas, and they circled back to F1.
That's what we need. Yes.
Or they just sat there and it was complete silence, and this was the only idea they had, and they kept it there. So I mean, it's not very exciting.
Maybe like High School Musical. The name, I don't know what you can call it. The idea, what it should do, was an High School Musical. What will we call it? Well, can't we still use High School Musical? Yeah, sure, why not? And then we have it.
Exciting. It's not the most thrilling name, but actually for the audience it's approaching. It's a Formula One film. If we think of famous motor racing films that are, stand out for us, Grand Prix, Le Mans.
Yeah.
So we know what the film's about. It crosses the border. It explains to people what the film is about. And people know it's an F1 film. Oh, what's the F1 film?
Yes.
F1.
Simple. If only Formula One was that simple. What other elements do we have today?
Driver market,
Yep.
I think is quite interesting. And again, it centres on Carlos Sainz. I mean, he's had a remarkable season.
Man, the fuck will they talk about? Nothing have happened. Except Oliver Bammer will be in Haas. Okay, sure.
We've gone from, I remember Monaco time, it was basically down to Williams and Sauber Audi, all narrowed down. This was basically his thing. He was on the verge of making the decision. Suddenly, Flavio Briatore is in an Alpine. Flavio's, someone on the front foot, gets things done. So offer goes to Carlos. Then suddenly he's got 3 options. And then suddenly, need a bit more time to decide. Then, now we've had Checo Perez, had his new contract at Red Bull, but isn't really performing. The team...
I can't see that happen ever. Carlos Sainz is going to Red Bull. I don't see why Red Bull would want to have Carlos Sainz in that seat.
Are getting concerned. I mean, it's quite interesting that, sometimes they get private concerns and sometimes the team starts speaking in public.
They have already problem with where the fuck Liam Lawson will be. Why would they bring in another person in the mix? That would fucking be stupid. Then you just fire yourself Perez, put the Ricciardo in that and Liam Lawson in a Visa Cash Up. No. Yeah, Visa Cash Up are before Formula 1 team.
Christians have started speaking, just about, he needs to perform. It's a pressure business. He hasn't really lifted his game since he got signed the contract. So I think there's a genuine desire, as I said yesterday, about getting Checo's problem sorted, sorting it all out. But I think it means in Sainz's head, potentially there's a
opportunity.
Red Bull seat.
Yeah.
And then interestingly,
one more fish for the
now Toto suddenly gone off.
He was asked about it today, wasn't he? And he didn't say no.
Yeah, but Toto's answer, because he was asked about Sainz. Does this mean
directly? Wasn't he?
He asked directly. Didn't answer about Sainz. Talked about Andrea Kimi Antonelli, that pressures he's under, and at some point, you've got to get lobbed in the ice cold water and swim.
Yes.
And the pressures which he's talked about. We also said
I don't understand this pressure. Just put in the team. It's not like you're fighting for a world championship or construction championship. So you just build the team around Russell and him.
Some interesting things going on in the driver market, which haven't spoken to him about, so I don't know what he was referencing. But is there something, is he talking about Sainz? Is he talking about the Red Bull situation? Is he talking about Alpine? Could there be some movement there? Has someone else come and say, we'll take Antonelli and you find another option? I think it's quite open. And I think this driver market is hilarious. Could be the longest ever silly season, which lasts the entire season. I don't think it's going to be sorted out very quickly. And you've got Esteban Ocon in the mix, because I think Haas are very eager for him. It probably has a firm offer on the table, maybe signed, maybe not, depends who you speak to. And I keep having this banter with Esteban, because I keep asking him about how confident you are about this contract. And he keeps saying, do you want me to email it to you? And I say, yeah, email it over. And now every time I see him, I go, you haven't just emailed me that contract. So you've got Ocon there, Bottas suddenly is back in the frame. Then you've got Doohan, potentially Alpine. Could Magnussen have a second chance if Ocon doesn't go there? And we've got qualifying coming up tomorrow.
Yeah,
so what do you what do you reckon then?
Well, I think McLaren's are looking strong, aren't they? Piastri was P2 in
They did, but not apparently in qualifying.
second practice. So, you know, it looks like the pace is there, and that's in tricky conditions. I think we're expecting it to be dry tomorrow, but yeah, I think it's
It was not dry, it was raining.
all shaping up for, you know, a positive weekend for McLaren. I do think that Mercedes will come good, and of course you can never discount Max Verstappen as well. So how do you think it's going to
Apparently
go?
you could.
I think again we're going to have the Lando meet v Max
At least in the qualifying, not in the race.
fight. I think both of them are kind of at a peak. The rivalry is there, both on top, fully on top of their cars. Piastri's going to be snapping out of their heels.
Well, they will start near each other, but on the second row. So that's something.
I'm ready to kind of pounce on any momentum and keep pushing on, and it's going to be another thriller.
Awesome. Check back tomorrow, see if we were right. Thanks a lot.
2 more. Then the shulker box is full. Let's see if they did anything on the qualifying, or this will be it. They did. Okay. The life will continue. Then we'll see what they think about the qualifying. Yes.
Alex, we're here Saturday, British Grand Prix. Just had qualifying, quite an exciting one. Mercedes look like they're there. George Russell taking a
The crash
fantastic
will
pole
happen.
position.
Hi.
Fantastic pole position from George. He's looked sort of on it all day, quick in the wet in FP3. Lewis Hamilton second, Lando Norris third. I think that's something of a surprise result, given how good Lando's been lately. And it all pretty much went wrong for Red Bull. Sergio Perez off in the gravel, and Max Verstappen damaging his car as well. So yeah, I think that was that. If anything, I think that was the biggest shock of the session, right?
Do you think the conditions have obviously played into the British drivers' hands? Obviously a British 1, 2, 3. Great for the fans here. Do you think it is conditions which just help them?
It will be even greater if the crash happened in the race. The hype to make the British people being unhappy will be amazing.
Achieve that?
I think there's two things to look at with the conditions. I think George Russell said it perfectly. The changing conditions and it's almost like Canada, right? We saw Mercedes very good in the mixed conditions in Canada. And George says when it came like that today, the car was perfect. I think there was a little bit of I'm a bit nervous in Q1, Q2 in terms of like they were trying to save tyres. I think they want to use those soft tyres for the race tomorrow. So they're being quite a lot of thinking going.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. Comes out for Q3, bang! Suddenly he's on it. Car feel was great, car feel was perfect, all that conditions. Now, that topic came up in the press conference actually. Someone says, well, why are the British drivers, but I think the question actually was why are the British drivers so good?
Yes.
And the answer was roast beef from Lewis Hamilton. Very witty from Lewis there. But no, I think then the conversation went on, Lando Norris saying, well, we're just used to these conditions, you know, it does rain a lot here. Having said that, rains a lot in the Netherlands.
It
Belgium,
does.
and that's why Max Verstappen's so good. So I don't think we can solely claim ownership of wet weather.
Just focusing on George for a second, obviously he had that win in Austria. He was very unlucky in Canada. Do you think that this is his moment now to shine? Mercedes seems to be on top of all their...
Do you call that unlucky? He made himself being unlucky by being bad. Can you really call that unlucky? That's weird.
Problems with the, porpoising at the start of last year, and obviously they've gone through many evolutions of the car, and they seem to be coming out the other side now, and he seems to be the one that's benefiting the most from the changes that are being made.
Very much so. I think, again, he's very quick to highlight the Monaco update, the front wing, what's going right there. I know, Ben, you scoffed at my suggestion.
They're still at the B rank.
When Lewis Hamilton was talking about, they understand where to generate the downforce in the right levels of the cars. But no, I think genuinely Mercedes have turned the corner with that. But
by being a B rank.
Now this is George's moment. I think since the start of the season, he's been absolutely delivering. And I think it's funny, it's interesting. I spoke to Lando Norris in Spain. I said, that first win in Miami, has it done that thing where it's like, the monkey's off my back? Can I now go on to bigger and better things? So I do a Ricky Bobby from NASCAR in my hands anyway. And he was like, no, not for me actually, not for me. It's just like the only thing in the back of the mind is I know I can do it. But I wonder whether it's different with George, having got that win last weekend now. That I think made it, because basically his point about Canada was I was just trying too hard, and I tried and I messed up, and it just took me over the limit in what was a challenging race, and I think that's what he's reflecting on.
Hopefully we try too hard getting or fighting with Lewis Hamilton. Make it happen.
And yeah, I just don't know, I just got a feeling that with what happened last weekend, where he was excellent, Mercedes insiders saying his best weekend of the season, only good enough for third until the crash happened, but he was in the right place to capitalise. And I just think that George is that sort of driver where actually, okay, I've got my second F1 win, a good Grand Prix win. I've done what I was trying to do in Canada. Yeah. Now here I am. I've performed right when it matters in front of my home crowd at Silverstone, and potentially, having done what I did last weekend, I can go on and go one better than Canada, or a couple of spots better than Canada tomorrow.
Yeah, it's finding confidence, isn't it? It's confidence in the car and confidence in yourself. Of course, he's got Lewis Hamilton breathing down his neck. Hugely successful driver here in the home race. Won it 8 times,
Make the crash happen.
So obviously can't discount him tomorrow. What do you make of Lewis's attitude, how he was in the press conference? Seemed fairly relaxed. Obviously disappointed, would rather be on pole, but he's desperate to go out with a bang, isn't he, with Mercedes, and say goodbye in circumstances, and I think that a win here would obviously go some way to doing that.
Massively. I think it was really interesting. I thought he was very magnanimous when he got out of the car, very energised. Obviously they do enjoy sort of the home crowd here and what that brings. And yeah, I think just delighted for the team, for one thing. That was in front of the TV cameras in Park Vermo when they got out of the cars, speaking to David Coulthard. They come upstairs, and again, everybody's fine. Lewis did his thing, delays the press conference, gets changed. George Russell, Lando Norris, let's get on with it, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, Lewis walks in. It's still all fine. And then a question comes in.
Yes.
It was unfortunately worded. It was sort of a little bit of a language barrier thing that basically what the question boils down to is, if your Mercedes was this good this time last year, would you still have made the choice to go to Ferrari? And you saw that his face changed, his demeanour changed. He clenches up. Obviously the answer is no. Of course, he's not going to say anything else.
Yeah,
of course. But he just from then on, he could just say, Lewis is just that. I get it. It's what else is he going to say in that scenario? So yeah, he was a bit less pleased, less enthused with the media afterwards, understandably, with that kind of question.
Man,
yeah, it's
don't complain.
Also, it's only qualifying for Lewis.
Yeah.
Like second, pole position. Unless it's a victory, it doesn't matter.
He knows his race pace is usually better, isn't it? He's usually a better driver on a Sunday, can usually put it together. Mixed conditions again, potentially tomorrow, bit around rain
it could be a
around 1
crash.
o'clock. So yeah, I mean it could mix things up for him nicely.
I think so. I think that's another thing that sort of Mercedes are talking about. Is that Russell has been excellent in qualifying. I think that's something that Lewis should probably reflect on there. What's sort of going wrong, but I get the race pace still. Lewis is one of the masters of that. Max Verstappen excellent.
Yeah.
But George Russell, that was always the sort of question mark. So again, it'll be a very interesting race tomorrow. Obviously, Max is starting 4th. Lando alongside him. There'll be what's going to go on there. If the two Mercs are still in front as the first stint develops, then it'll be interesting. Is Russell able to make that step, or will Lewis be able to come last?
You mentioned Lando. That car is very quick. We've seen it. It's quick wherever they go. I mean, it's quite amazing what McLaren have done. The upgrades that they brought to that car. It's just quick out of the box. Wherever they put it on the track, start delivering. Has he got the pace tomorrow to oversee the two Mercs in front?
judging by the times that I went through after FP2, yes. I mean, the standout car, shockingly, is the Red Bull, but the McLaren only a tenth behind.
Yeah.
And that really is nothing, especially with Max starting back in the pack. Lando quite keen to talk up the Mercedes drivers and their potential tomorrow, you know, saying they're very good on their front tyres in particular, which, you know, can be a factor with all the high energy demands.
Man,
I
come
know,
on.
Ben, you love the tyres. I can see it in your eyes.
Am I
You know,
going over?
Okay. But no, yeah, so it's and again, the Mercedes drivers are like, look, these guys behind us are faster. But actually, when you think of it, is it going to be a good spectacle? It's perfect because you've got the two quicker drivers who've already crashed into each other once this week, going into Cops where there's quite a lot of history, and George Russell, who's, you know, let's see what happens from pole.
Excellent. We've also got to talk about Kimi Antonelli.
I mean, George Russell and Lewis Hamilton have crashed into each other also. Maybe you should have mentioned that.
One today, face the media.
Oh,
so
you better do the talking.
yeah, well, it's interesting, wasn't it? The press conference was most entertaining. It was the first time where he was able to speak freely. Until now, he's sort of been shrouded by the Mercedes PR blanket,
very much,
not been allowed to talk. And of course, he faced the media, and I think he did quite well, actually. You know, he spoke openly, honestly, and I was impressed. I thought it was quite good of him to, you know, speak in such a manner. He wasn't nervous. He spoke about him making mistakes at the start of the year, but in a similar position to George, perhaps, in the sense that maybe he's now finding his feet in that championship, and now that he's able to fight for wins, it's obviously going to open more doors for him and more chances. But of course, with that brings more pressure, more scrutiny. Be interesting to see how he develops over the tail end of the season.
Massively.
Well, he at least more points than Oliver Behrman in the Formula 2 season, so that's something.
But one thing I'd like to sort of throw back to you is, did he seem like a 17-year-old? Like, I think that's the one we've talked about him so much.
Yeah.
And in the context of very famous other drivers, maybe he beating into that seat at Mercedes, did he seem like a 17-year-old kid in that moment?
I think it's quite difficult. We've been talking about him for such a long time. It feels like an eternity since he joined that young driver program, and of course he's been spoken, you know, in relation to that Mercedes seat left vacant by Lewis. Does he seem like a 17-year-old? No, he seemed much more mature. You know, for me, he's obviously been worked on at Mercedes. You know, that they've leaned on him and sort of cultivated his media personality and helped him out with various different things. But he did seem quite assured of himself, so confident without being arrogant. No, he did seem, you know, seemed very engaging. Yeah, I was very impressed, actually. I was quite surprised. I thought that there may be an immaturity around him, but there certainly wasn't. He was, you know, pretty well versed, knew what to do, what to say. And as I say, for me, the most important thing was the honesty, the brutal honesty that sometimes we, you know, come back to with Lando Norris. Oh gosh, you're beating yourself up again. You know, he did something similar. You know, I've made mistakes. You know, it was all on me. So he kind of owned that situation. I thought that was quite refreshing. He didn't want to blame anyone else. So, you know, long may that...
Well, he could actually blame the team by being bad also, so that wouldn't be a far stretch to maybe do.
Didn't you?
Yeah, now is that done? And I need to add it now. If I want to have some rest or sleep, you can say, before the Formula 1 start. No, Formula 1, Formula 3, not Formula 2. And then we have many hours later Formula 1. I think like 5 hours. And then we also have IndyCar. Let's see. What do we have? Formula 3 is in 3 hours 33 minutes. Oh my god. Fuck this. Oh my god. Give me the thing I want. Formula 2 in 9 hours. Formula 1 in 13 hours and 12 minutes. And then we have IndyCar in 17 hours and 47 minutes and 33 minutes. But yeah, I will be back with more fish collection, Minecraft stuff. After Formula 3, Formula 2, Formula 1 and IndyCar have probably happened.